Welcome back to our City Builder project. This time we are going to add some animation and movement so that we can have a very active city with lots of different people moving in different directions at different speeds. Let's take a look at the code that will let us do that. We are going to be in the lesson 2 script file, but before we start coding, let's take a look at some scene elements. We do have a number of pedestrians ready for us to animate, but the first thing that we're actually going to look at is this path that's already been created for us. We are actually going to take that path and make another path that allows us to move, multiple people in different directions. If I wanted to start from scratch, I could do that by going to the library and searching for path. And it'll give me 3 options. It'll give me a rounded path, a square path, and a straight path. The one that we have on the screen right here is a rounded path. But the difference between this rounded path and a square path is when I inspect this rounded path and take a look at the path icon, all the paths are designed to be curved. But if I switch it to straight, then the paths will go straight from one point to the next. The other difference is this rounded path will give you 8 points to start with. But you could switch one to the other and add and delete paths. And let's try that now. So if I wanted to take this original path, and actually let's make a copy because I do want to make 2 paths. So we're going to duplicate it. And I don't want them on top of each other. So I'm going to push this aside a tiny bit. And let's just make sure that it's not running into the building. Here, we'll scoot both of those over. But I'm going to change one of these paths so that it crosses the street. Well, I don't like the amount of curvature in there, so I am going to come and edit this path by adding some more points to it. And hopefully that allows it to not have such a huge curve on it. Okay, now I'm ready to start coding because I have a couple of paths that my pedestrians can move on. So let's set the original path to pedestrian path 1. I'm going to click on that and grab the code. And let's create a second pedestrian path. And we'll find that one. And it should give us a different ID for that one. And it does. Okay, so I have a couple paths for my characters to move on. Let's see if we can animate somebody. So right now, if I press play, nobody is animated except for the pregnant woman in front of the carrier. But let's pick somebody who can be our walker. These 3 women look like joggers, so I'm going to pick this guy in the red shirt to be my walker. So let's grab his ID and put him in a variable. And I could try to set his animation here, but I want to practice doing it in code. So I am going to animate him with his animation property. And I could just play the walk animation track. But if I do that, that animation just takes 1 second and he's already finished it. I want him to keep walking. So I do need to switch this to play looping, so that he'll keep walking. Okay, when I play that, he is in fact still walking. Okay. Now I want him to actually move as he walks. So I am going to access his transition property, and on that property there's a method for moveOnPath, and that takes a JSON object of options. So I'm going to use my curly bracket and then start specifying my options. I want him to walk on pedestrian path 1. I'll just start him at a speed of 1, and I will start him turning with the path and repeating. Okay, so those are pretty common options to set. And he's not there anymore because he is somewhere on the path and he's coming around the corner right now. So if I wanted him to start at a particular point, I could do that as well. Each one of those points that I was dragging around has a number. But let's just try point 1 and see where that takes us. Okay. That starts him at the corner, and we can see him immediately coming down the street. Okay, let's pick another character to animate. I want another jogger, and she looks like a jogger, so let's grab her. And we'll call her our first jogger, jogger 1. I actually want her. There's not a there's not an animation for jogging, but there is one for run. So we'll have her run. Oops. And I meant to say jogger here. And we can have her jogging on a different path. And since she's jogging, we'll make her go twice as fast as the walker. Okay. They'll probably be starting near the same point, so we should be able to see them right away. Yep, and she is going twice as fast as our walker. And I did put them on different paths. That's why she's coming around the sidewalk and he is not. Okay, one more interesting pedestrian is this woman in the carriage. And she is actually going to move with the carriage. And it's interesting the way that I attached her because I didn't use this attach feature here. What I did was, and let me detach her real quick so you can see. So now she's detached and they both move separately. But if I grab her in the object menu, she's the pregnant woman, and I drop her on top of baby carriage, now she becomes a child object. And she can still move independently, but when the baby carriage moves, she moves along with it. So let's see if I can animate just the baby carriage. Okay, I'm going to grab my baby carriage and put it in my variable. And then I want to move that along a path. So it's going to be the transition move on path. And let's put her on the same path as our jogger. But now she's going to move much slower. Well, let's put her at half the speed of our walker. And we do want her to repeat. But I'm going to have her go in the reverse direction. So it turns out, since she was going in the first direction, oh, she's already made it around the corner. We're going to see her in a second. There she is, coming around the corner very, very slowly. Okay, so practice moving on a path with different speeds and different directions and multiple pathways as well. And you can experiment with other types of pedestrians as well. There are skateboards and bicycles. What else can you imagine in a city?